Hey, welcome to another edition of Rockin Comics. I'm Zach.
I'm Amy.
Big week this week. The new #1s from DC are out. I picked up a lot of them. Not all, but a lot. And they kind of shook out kind of how you think. We also have an Amy's Awesome, and we have a special guest who you may or may not be able to see right now. We'll see.
He's down there.
Well, technically down there. He's in the doodly-doo. So let's kick things off with our new #1s. I picked up seven of the new #1s. We'll start with the weak ones. Static Shock we were both looking forward to.
Not that exciting at all. Really disappointed.
Batgirl, I was kind of looking forward to. Gail Simone's the author. I was looking forward to it, but didn't do much for me. And you're a Barbara Gordon fan.
I'm a Barbara Gordon fan. And our special guest is trying
and there's
to
our
stand
little
up.
special guest.
Here's our special
Here's our
guest.
special guest. It's Augie, the super
This is
dog.
my dog. This is the Flash. There you go.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm a Barbara Gordon fan and really wanted to like it, and it did not work for me.
Didn't work.
So.
Justice League International #1. I was kind of sketchy on it just because I wasn't reading comics when Justice League International was out the first time. This time around, I'm not all that intrigued by the characters. I do like the interaction between Booster Gold and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. They throw Batman in there, but it feels forced to me, so I might pick up #2, depending on how much cash I got on me. But
if you're a Booster Gold fan, you're going to be slightly more into this than he is. I will say that.
so
Being a Booster Gold fan.
another #1 came out, Swamp Thing. I was looking forward to it simply because Scott Snyder wrote it. That's really it. And I liked it. You don't see Swamp Thing till the very last panel, which I found interesting. But I like the story. I like where it's going. You do get to see Superman for the first time as an adult in the DCNU. But I gotta say, the artist likes to draw big chins.
It may be Superman, it may be Jay Leno.
I don't know.
I would read a comic book with Jay Leno in it. I'm just saying.
I would not. Unless it was the Crimson Chin, then I would. Otherwise, no.
Oh, boy.
So Swamp Thing, I'm on the fence of kind of eh. But now we start to pick things up, and I gotta say, the one I was not looking forward to, Batwing, one of my favorites of the new #1 so far. The art was phenomenal. This Ben Oliver, fantastic. It's got kind of a painted style. The story's really well written by Judd Winnick, and I like this as a kind of introduction to Batwing. Batman makes an appearance. It's brutal and violent and bloody, but
But it's not over the top.
right.
It's not, you don't read it and you're like, whoa. Oh, I want to see that. That's
Some people
gross.
might be.
Some people might, well.
If it passed your test of being okay,
If it passes my test of not being too over the top, I think most people should be fine with this. It's not a book to read to your kiddies.
no,
But,
no.
still, I think even if you're not into the gory and the horror and the chopping of people's body parts, it still, to me, is acceptable. It's not, this is disgusting, this is gross for the sole purpose of being gross.
Right.
It worked in that one.
And let me say, Judd Winnick gives us one of the most shocking and surprising final panels of all the books I've read this week. And it's stunning. And I think he even made a comment at one point in one of the interviews I read where he's like, what the hell did they just do? I don't know. I will get #2, and I'll probably subscribe to this one to keep it going because I liked it that much. Honestly, I thought, first look at that would be the first one to fall off the platform. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's going to stick around for a while.
It's a good one. And another good one, and I was just sketchy on it just simply because, I don't know, I like Superman, but I'm not a Superman fanboy. But Action Comics #1 by Grant Morrison and Rags Morales, thumbs up. Really good story. I like the way Grant Morrison writes Superman.
Yeah, the new Superman, it's kind of weird, but I like it. I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's Superman? Okay, I'll buy it.
He's kind of snarky. Imagine, like, if Peter Parker were Superman.
It does kind of feel like that, doesn't it?
Not quite
as funny.
Not quite as funny, but snarky and just kind of like a young alien kid who's got superpowers in the world. It's good.
It's working.
Very good. I'll continue to get Action Comics. And then Batman Detective Comics #1. Holy balls. Why I didn't subscribe to this in the first place, I don't know. I'll be doing that next week. Tony Daniels, author and artist, phenomenal book. I like it. It's dark and violent and a little bloody. Maybe we're finding some insight into me that I like it that way. But the story's still really good. I like the fact that we're getting introduced to Batman and Joker seeing each other for the first time, so I like it a lot. You okay with it?
You know what? I'm okay with it.
All right.
I'm leaning more towards, we talked about this in the podcast, I lean a little bit more towards the Superman title.
Yes.
And you lean a little bit more towards Batman, which I'm not a Superman fan either. So that's kind of surprising to me.
But
something about, I don't know, something about it. I liked it a little bit more.
I can't argue with that. I can see why you liked it more. I know why I liked Batman a little more. I'm more of a Batman guy to begin with. So
well, and I am too. That's what surprises me, that I wouldn't be buying like 100% into this.
Well, I think because the Superman characterization is so surprising.
Maybe.
And so well done.
Yes.
And doesn't come across as weird or forced or hokey.
Yeah.
Just, man, 3 solid books so far
Good
from the
stuff.
DC #1s. None of them made the Rockin Comic of the Week, which surprised both of us. Because I got one Marvel title this week. It was the first one I read. We talk about all these books much more in the podcast, but the Rockin Comic of the Week is the New Avengers Annual #1. Man.
Wow.
Just, Brian Michael Bendis brings the story. Gabriel Dell'Otto brings the art in
a solid punch.
Huge way.
Yeah.
That and the action is solid, nonstop. There's so much good about it. We talk about it a lot in the podcast. Go to rockincomics.com to check out the full podcast. I was blown away by this book.
I was, as I was reading it, and you had said, well, that was the one you were kind of leaning towards. I was like, okay, I get it. I'm on board. Because it really, as the story develops and as you go through the book, it just doesn't stop. And it's just good all the way through. From top to bottom, pretty much.
You get quality from Bendis and Dell'Otto. And what else can you ask for? I mean, it's just a quality story, great art, great action. Rockin' Comic of the Week, bar none.
Yup.
If it weren't for that book this week, I would have a tough time. I think we'd be split on our votes between
Probably.
Detective and Action, with Batwing being a close second for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, we have 4 really solid books this week. But man, New Avengers, if you're not getting New Avengers Annual, superb. Love it. There you go. Other than your awesome dog,
Awesome.
there's Augie. Augie's recouping. He's feeling a little under the weather.
He's sick, so brought the baby.
He's hanging out today, chilling, looking at books. Oddly enough, he picked Static Shock.
Augie.
What were you thinking?
Disappointing.
What's not disappointing...
My dog is way cooler than that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pin that on you, Og.
He's like, where's the flash book? Hello?
He's just waiting. But speaking of awesome and not disappointing, your Amy's Awesome for the week is awesome.
Tiny Titans! And funny enough, one of the books is called Adventures in Awesomeness.
What more can you want?
We talked about Tiny Titans, oh my gosh, months ago.
A long time ago.
Months ago we talked about it. It was one of my wish list things. And I talked about, man, I'm liking this Tiny Titans thing. I really wish that I had all the books. And a couple weeks ago I said I was going to order all the books, and so I did.
Ta-da!
So I've read through numbers, these are the collected editions, 1, 2, and 3. This is 1 through 6.
So the first 18
books?
books?
7 through 12, and this, I think that was what we said.
And then
8 through... 13 through 18 in this one.
Nice.
Really good stuff. The art's really cute, but not like, it's not like in a dumb way. It doesn't look, juvenile. It looks young, but it doesn't look juvenile. And we talk on the podcast about some specific examples about how they give you nods to people that actually read comics.
Right.
Like, there's stuff in here that if you were, if somebody that doesn't read comics is reading this, they're not going to get the joke about it's black as night. You have a lantern? A green one? I mean, you're not going to get that if you don't get it.
Exactly.
So they do a really nice job of still catering to your actual comic book readers. Even though this is marketed for kids, I still like it. And that's how I am. I like kid things.
I mean, sometimes art that is simplistic because it's bad.
Right.
This is simple art that's cool and good and works.
And it kind of reminds me of that, like Powerpuff Girls type of you know, the proportions are like that.
Yep.
The way the monsters and the baddies kind of interact, it's very Powerpuff Girls.
Right.
You know, it's that intelligent, kids can watch this and enjoy it, but really, it's really made for adults. It's made for me.
It's made for
exactly.
her. I still dig it.
This is like exactly what I was probably exactly their target audience.
I think
These
you are.
Books, to be honest with you.
I think you are.
They go to Sidekick City Elementary. Slade is their principal. And Darkseid's the lunch lady.
See? How cool is that?
It's funny. I mean, and there were things that made me, like, I literally laughed, like, out loud. I LOL'd.
Wow.
While reading this. I mean, most of the time you just kind of smile.
Right.
And you go, huh. But there were, the Darkest Night with the Green Lantern eyes.
That's funny.
It's kind of funny.
That is funny.
Just cracked me up. Just that they put that much thought into it.
Right.
That it's clever. I like it. I like that kind of bad pun sort of thing.
Right.
This is the awesome for the week. Tiny Titans. Oh yeah, Titans.
Bring it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Titans. See? Adventures in Awesomeness.
Adventures in Awesomeness. Welcome to the Treehouse is #1. That's their base. They have a treehouse.
Of course.
Who doesn't want a treehouse? I want a treehouse.
Exactly. Titans
Adventures in
Treehouse.
Awesomeness and Who's the Fastest?
Ooh.
Kid Flash, hello.
Duh.
Though Raven wins the race. Anyway.
Trickery, I tell you. Trickery!
She doesn't even go anywhere.
Trickery.
Hell, Raven.
Told ya. Trickery! So there you have it. That's it. Make sure you check out the podcast at rockincomics.com. The full, almost hour-long... we dive into all the new #1s for the week that I got, and the new Avengers annual #1, and why it merited Rockin' Comic of the Week. Going a little more about Tiny Titans.
Talk about everything and a lot more.
Yep.
That's the point.
That is the point. Next week, more new #1s. Maybe all of them. Hell, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what
We're going
happens.
to take a break when this is all said and done.
We are. We're going to have to slow it down, pump the brakes a little bit. Plus, Augie will have his actual pick next week.
Aki's pick for the week.
Yeah.
Peyton's pick for the week. I was hoping Peyton's tag would get here so we could talk about it. I'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
So I should have it.
All right.
So yeah.
So that's, see, more to look forward to. Which is
stuff involving my dogs.
And some comic stuff once in a while. We'll throw that in there.
We get to it.
Pepper it in. I think that's it. You done?
I'm done.
I'm Zach.
I'm Amy.
Later.
Bye.
Bye, Augie. Say bye. Be careful.